Good morning everyone, my name is Tomasz Potri. I'd like to introduce you to one of the best lures for trout fishing. It's the Slim Pines Worm. This is a lure from Libra's range that has caused quite stir. It has excellent animation properties, both for active retrieval and for fishing in the current. Basically, the lure does all the work for us. It's an imitation of a large worm, like a knife collar. All it takes are gentle movements of the lure, gentle movements of the currents. The lure comes to life. This is a lure that we generally rig quite lightly. Let's say from 1 gram to 5 grams.
Here I have the embryon twister, 7 inches. Even with the slightest weight, this soft bait already sweeps its tail and really entices pike and other predators to strike. Just as Tomek mentioned earlier with our worm as a simple lure, the embryon twister is probably even easier to use, because all you really need to do is retrieve it steadily and the tail will do the work for you.
And just to add at the end, be sure to try this lure when fishing for pike in May in very shallow water, rigged with a very light weight and retrieve very slowly. Believe me, if you try this lure in those conditions, you definitely won't be disappointed and you'll catch plenty of beautiful fish. In the predator version, we also have the embryon Chablis, which is a lure for ultralight enthusiasts, in a roughly 2-inch version designed for very subtle fishing. It's an imitation of fry. Take a look at how it moves. It's very similar to the fresh, newly hatched fry of a small fish. We rig this lure with a very small weight, let's say even just 1 gram or 2 grams. We retrieve it with a steady motion or let it fall, especially during May and June, when there's a lot of fry in the water. It's very tempting for all kinds of fish, both predators and even whitefish. We can also use a shabrashka or jig heads for rigging. If we're fishing in some vegetation, we can use small offset hooks.
Here we had a rather small lure. Once again, I'm coming in with this hefty bait, the 8-inch Kraken shad, another lure from the Predator series designed for catching large pike. This lure differs a bit from the embryon twistile, mainly in the shape of its tail, and it moves in a completely different way. This is a lure that performed very well during the testing phase. It works great at a steady pace and also responds very well to gentle acceleration. It starts working with the low weights, but it's no problem to use a load of 12 or 15 grams here. That gives it a different action, but it's just as effective. Here, it's really the tail that does the job, and honestly, I can feel it very strongly on the rod. It sweeps. Amazingly, this lure was created mainly thanks to you, because I often hear that you're already successfully catching trout, perch, and chub with Libra lures. You'd like to catch other fish as well, and it's thanks to you that we were motivated to actually create a lure for every predator.
I'd like to present to you the next lure. This is another imitation of a red worm with a special curved profile that makes the lure move on its own as it drifts with the current. It is very soft and very flexible. Here, the animation with the rod tip can be very subtle. This lure works great for catching passive, non-feeding fish. This lure comes in 2 sizes. The one I have on my hand right now is size 95. It is also available in a 65mm version. We also rig the lure quite lightly. Let's say even from half a gram is enough, up to about 5 grams to be able to fish it in all layers of the water. You can actually use both a red bead and a classic jig hook with it. I'll also mention here that a very good way to rig this lure is to gently bend it and slide it a bit higher onto the offset hook. This way, you'll get even more of a bend. And with every movement, the lure will curl up even more.
Additionally, I'll share a little trick with you, since we're all gathered here today, that these lures are also incredibly easy to modify in a natural way. We take scissors and we can always conveniently shorten these lures, adapting them to the fish we have in the fishery. And then, for example, we can fish a particular spot more effectively.
This is a well-known technique, even in the most important competitions, such as the Polish Grand Prix. We adjust the length of the lure to the fish we're catching, because sometimes during competitions we catch bigger fish, sometimes smaller ones, and let's say a flex worm can be very quickly adapted to the prevailing conditions.
And now, coming from behind, I'll appear with the last lure of this presentation. And this will be the last lure, but at the same time, the first one that we won't be casting here at all. Thanks to Libra lures, brand lures, we can now fish using any method. The vertical pelagic method, and with it, lures like the Gobio 7.3 inch I'm holding here. Just look at how this lure behaves in the water. I'm literally just going to put it in the water. And in fact, the movement of the water here already causes all the little fins on this lure to vibrate, and that allows us to effectively catch zander, pike, and catfish. These vibrations are really well detected by predatory fish. When you spot a predator on your fish finder, you definitely won't ignore this lure. And listen, the details here, modeled after the bullhead, really make a difference, which you can also see in the photos on our Libra Lures profile on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, as well as on our YouTube channel, where this year there will be more content directly from the water, so you'll really get to see how effective these lures are. But you can already do that by visiting our website www.libralures.com, where our current catalog for 2025 is available. There you'll find photos of Mateusz and Michał, who have already been fishing and testing these lures and have caught beautiful zander and pike with them. And that's all for now. Thank you for today, and see you next time.
See you next time.